Thank you for coming to class today. I wanted to just acknowledge that today is 9/11 and it's a good day to be reflective and take care of oneself, because a lot of thoughts and emotions might arise, especially in this year that has been anything but stable. So my practice today is to help you find some stability in a shaking world. And the reason that we're using a prop of a chair is that often I find that when we can't get to practice or when we are feeling less than stable, having something that can help us feel supported and not work as hard can be really helpful. So before we start action, I just want to get quiet for just a moment and get present. So just take a seat, get quiet for a moment, and we'll start. So remember, the first step is to get the alignment of the body just right. And then settle into it and begin to relax deeply, consciously. In order to get the alignment of your body just right, you might want to wriggle around and let whatever is touching the ground to settle down. Get grounded, rooted, planted into the earth. Let yourself settle down. Find your breath. Slide inside your own breath. And then relax. Let yourself settle down. And then opening your eyes or not, take an inhalation in, and as you exhale, just walk your hands forward, coming into a gentle forward fold. Take a moment, climb inside, and just notice where you are right now. Noticing the inhalation, the exhalation, the expansion, and the release. Noticing if you're pushing or letting go. I would vote for the latter. And then come on up. Okay. Let's start by just coming into Tadasana. And just for a moment, come with your feet together. I want to make a point about breath. So come with your feet together. We're often told to stand with our feet together. And just for a moment, just take a breath. Take a breath in. Take another breath. So what I notice about this is that when I take a breath with my feet together, my breathing only comes in to about my chest level. And that's great, but I really want to bring the breath further down into my body. So take your feet hip width apart. Hip width apart would be that your second toe would be about underneath your knee, which is underneath your hip. And then now, just stand here, take a breath. Take another breath. So, I don't know about you, but for me, when I have a little bit more space for my pelvis, I feel that the breath can actually come down further into the body. So it's just something that I note for myself. And breath is very critical for balance. Breath is very critical for life, of course, but it's very critical for the nervous system and to stay balanced, to stay emotionally balanced and find balance in your life. So let's just start with something to balance. We're in Tadasana. Now, begin to shift your weight forward. Lift the heels slightly. Just lift them slightly. Lift up. Press down on the ball of the foot. Go up, 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 up. Lift the heels as much as you can. Go up, 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 up. And then come on down. Now, close your eyes. Close your eyes. Lift the heels. Notice how scary it is. Notice that it's difficult to find balance when the eyes are closed. Just try pressing the toes, pressing the ball of the foot. Just begin to lift the heels. Notice that one doesn't feel quite as secure to find balance when we don't have the visible world. And then come on down. It's just an interesting thing to note. Now, take your hands, interlace the fingers, take your palms inside out. Now, something that happens with the hands is they tend to close like this, and we're working on the computer. So see if you can open the thumb, open the little finger, and really press the palm out. Really press that palm out. Now, as you press the palm forward, really round those shoulders so you can get involved in the back body. And now, begin to take those arms up so that you're taking them over your head. Keep opening the palms. The palms want to close. Open those palms. And now, as though you were going to press the air up, away, above your head, begin to shift your weight, lift the heels, and go up, 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 up. Lift up, go up, 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 up. And now imagine that you could leave your hands there as you descend the heels. And then come on down. Now, taking your thumbs, take them into the hinge of your hips. You'll find that right where your torso is, on the side of your legs, if you wrap your thumbs in, there's a point where they go in. There's a groove where your leg begins. Press into that groove. Your legs are still hip width apart. Press into that groove and begin to bend over into Uttanasana. Since it's the beginning of the practice and in the morning, feel free to bend your knees if your back would prefer and your hamstrings. And then just come into Uttanasana, releasing your hands and clasping the elbows. If this is too much for your hamstring, which for most people it is, bend your knees slightly. Let this pose be about the spine releasing down. Imagine that the legs are strong and stable like a mountain, but that the spine could actually drip down like a waterfall, as though you could find the liquid, fluid sensations in your own spine. With your elbows crossed, imagine that the thumb, which is typically on the inside facing towards your torso, could you open your hands and begin to press the arms down, as though you could not just dislocate the shoulders, that's not what I'm asking, but could you lengthen the arms down, as though that from the length of the arms, you could extend the spine from the tailbone to the crown of the head, lengthening. And breathe. Now, switch the cross of your arms. The thumb is still facing in toward the legs. And again, just see if you can lengthen the arms downward. If you want, feel free to straighten the legs. But again,
not at the expense of your hamstring or your spine. Now, everyone, release your arms down, bend your knees until your chest and thighs meet one another. So you're actually clamping them together as though they were a mirror, and the thigh and the chest would meet one another. Take your hands behind your back, interlace the fingers. Whatever you just did, switch it so that the other thumb is on top. It'll feel like somebody else's hand. Now, roll those shoulders back as you inhale, and as you exhale, take your arms up and over. If this is too much for your hands, just take your hands backwards, open the hands, and just take your arms up and over, releasing the shoulder. Don't forget to release the neck down, and release. Again, roll those shoulders back, and then as you exhale, take your arms up and over. Do not let your chest and thigh leave one another. One more time. Roll the shoulders back, even if you're not clasping, and then take the arms up and over. And then slowly begin to release the arms and round your way back up to standing. Just for a moment, coming into Tadasana. Now, I have a chair here. It's a metal chair, so it's a bit cold. So what I like to do is put a blanket on top of it. And I'm mirroring you. So I just want to say, this is my right leg. This is my left leg, okay, when I'm doing an action. So the chair is to my right. I'm going to turn toward the chair. Now, we stood in Uttanasana with our legs together. We're now going to stand in a wider stance, much more like Prasarita Padottanasana, where the feet are wider than hip width apart. So you'll come toward the chair, take the wide stance, and then just come forward, taking your hands onto the chair, and slowly see if you can touch your head down. If it is too low, you can roll up a blanket, you could get a cushion or something. But I want you to be able to actually put your forehead and your elbows on the chair so that you can just come down, taking your forehead and the elbows on the chair. Often that means just for many people just to take the legs wider, but if the groin doesn't allow that, build the height up. So, I'm now coming into a position like Prasarita Padottanasana, wide-legged standing forward fold. However, this allows my body to have space in the front body, side body, back body. With the arms supported, I have a potential to create some space in the armpits. So with your arms supported, you'll notice that there's space around your arm bone, around the armpits, the top of the shoulder. Notice if your shoulders are creeping up toward your ears. Just gently move them away. For those that are very flexible, notice if you're just collapsing into the pose. That doesn't do a lot for the nervous system. See if you can actually draw the belly in, imagining that the tailbone moves backward, but the shoulders also move backward as the crown of the head moves forward, creating space in the body. This is particularly helpful for the lungs because the lungs live predominantly in the back body. Right now, we're giving the lungs a great rest and space and breath. Now, we will be coming up out of this pose. Be careful as you come up because it's easy to swoon. Begin to take the hands onto the chair. Slowly begin to press yourself up. If you feel like you are going to swoon at all, just take your feet closer together. Stay there for a moment with your head down. Catch your balance. and then come on up. Now, I'm going to get rid of the blanket, and we're going to work on opening the groin and the hip. This is very important because most of us are sitting so much these days. And when we sit in a position like this, the groin gets tight, the back gets unhappy, the hamstring gets unhappy. So we're going to use the chair to do some nice hip openings. Again, this is my right side, this is my left side. So the chair is on my right. I'm going to start with my right leg. I'm standing facing the chair, and I'm going to step my leg so that my foot is on the chair. So I'm about, I don't know how many feet, but it's dependent on your leg. I'm just enough space that I could just step onto the chair. Now, you're going to bend the knee, hold on to the back of the chair, and just begin to come into a position like a lunge. So, come on out, and inhale, and as you exhale, come down and open the hip. Imagine that you could just open this groin of that left leg. One more time. Inhale, and as you exhale, bend the knee, and imagine that you could just drop the hip down. Notice that the back knee wants to bend. Can you straighten that back leg as you let the hip and groin begin to release? And then come on up. Other side. Taking your left leg now, you can stand placing the foot onto the chair. And as you bend your knee, you can hold onto the back of the chair for balance and begin to descend the hip. It's okay if your heel comes up, but I really don't want the leg to bend. So, drop the hip, open the groin. Come on up. And again, bending the knee, release the hip down. So that you're opening that left groin. Last time. Inhale, and as you exhale, bend the knee, drop the hip, open the groin. And then come on up. Now, we'll do that again, but add the arms so it actually feels like we're doing Warrior One. Virabhadrasana 1 can actually be a little tricky for the back. So once the leg is lifted, it takes a lot of pressure off the spine. So using my right leg again, I'm standing a little bit away from the chair. I'm going to take my foot onto the chair. Now as I bend the leg, instead of reaching forward for the chair, I'm just going to bend the leg as much as I can. And as I descend the hip, I'll just take my arms up, dropping the hip, lifting the chest, coming into Virabhadrasana 1. Feeling the breath from the groin to the chest. And then coming on up. And second side, taking the left leg. We'll take the foot onto the chair. And then as you bend the leg, once you feel the stability of the legs, take the arms up. And again, imagine that you're just coming into Virabhadrasana 1, descending the pelvis, lifting the chest. Legs rooting into the earth, chest rising up to the heavens. And then come on up. Now, taking your hands forward, you're going to reach for the top of the chair, walk your feet back, coming into an L shape, holding onto the chair or placing the fingers on the top. Now, imagine that you could lengthen your tailbone away. So we're coming into basically a sideways downward facing dog. Your feet are apart, about hip width or slightly more, about the width of your downward facing Adho Mukha Svanasana. Imagine that you're reaching forward, you're reaching the ground, release the head down. Again, feeling the space of the back lung, side lung, front lung. Breathing into the side, breathing into the back body. And then come on up. The lungs are really interesting. You know, we often breathe only into the front because that's what we see. We think, oh, we're breathing into the front body. but the lungs actually live predominantly in the back body. And what's interesting is that anatomically, the lungs, if you were to open the lung tissue out, it would be about the size of a tennis court. So breathe into the back body. That's where your lungs live. Now, we're going to kind of work into a Parsvottanasana position. So I'm using the chair now. I'm going to step my right foot forward, my left foot back, as though I was coming into the position of Parsvottanasana. But now I'm going to reach for the chair and just reach for the top of the chair. I'm in the standing pose position, right leg forward, left leg back. But I'm using the chair now not just to come all the way down, but as though I could extend again and lengthen the bum backwards as I reach the crown of my head forward, so that even in this position, I'm not just attacking the body to get into shapes, but I'm creating space, breath, movement. Reaching forward with your hands, reaching backward with the bum. Lengthen as much as you can. And then come on up, switching legs. You'll now be stepping with your left leg forward. So it's the typical stance of where you would have your right heel in and your left leg forward, coming into the rotation of a standing pose position. So you will step your left leg forward, spin that back leg, reach forward, reach for the top of the chair. Now, instead of coming down any lower, can you send your bum backward and lengthen and lengthen and lengthening? So you're not just coming down into the pose, but could you actually lengthen? In fact, instead of removing yourself out of your body, can you take this front leg, the femur of your left leg? Imagine that it actually inserts deeper into the socket. The rotation comes not from moving from the hip, but actually as though the leg bone were to come deeper into the socket. Imagine you could just bring that left femur, the left thigh bone, into the socket to lengthen your bum backward, reaching forward, and feel the breath in your back body. Noticing how much can I breathe into the front, the side body, and the back body. And then coming back up. And just for a moment again, coming into Tadasana, feeling the sensation of how the breath begins to awaken as we wake up the body and quiet the mind. Now, depending on your flexibility, we're going to use the chair for a bit of a hamstring stretch. So for some of you, it may be just to come with your leg on the chair. For some of you, that actually might even be too much. So what I'd like you to do is create a height. If you have something other than the chair, for me it's blocks. But if the chair is too much, you could just put your leg onto a stack of blocks or a smaller table or so on. If, however, this doesn't feel like it would be enough because you have a lot of flexibility in the hamstring and the hip, you can turn the chair around and you can use the top of the chair for the hamstring stretch, right? Because we're going to come forward onto the chair. So decide what position you want to be in. Taking your right leg first, stand in front of the chair, and just place your leg on the chair. Now, flex the foot up. The leg tends to do all kinds of things like moving side to side. So see if the toes could actually point up. Notice that the big toe can point up, but that still skews your leg. So can you get all the toes to actually point up? And we're going to be leaning down toward the chair. So inhale, and as you exhale, lean forward. And now from here, can you move your bum backward? Can you lengthen the spine forward? So it's not just about coming down as deep as you want to, but can I get space actually between the body here? And can I get length moving backwards? So that the hip is moving back,
I'm lengthening, creating space, breadth, and length in the torso. If it's easy for you, you can take your hands to the seat of the chair and come on down. Then coming on off the chair. Check again that you're facing forward. The tendency is the foot that we're standing on tends to go in different places. But you might actually need that for your own pelvis this morning. So, facing the chair, taking the other leg, you're again going to decide if you want a stack of blocks, if you want the height of the chair, if you want the back of the chair. And just inhale, and as you exhale, lean forward, reaching for the back of the chair. If it's really too difficult, you could just reach here. But I find that this really helps me extend the length of the torso, extending the side body, opening the armpit chest, and releasing back. Lengthening the bum backward, lengthening the arms forward, creating as much space as possible. Notice that foot wants to turn. Can you make the toes face upward? If it's easy for you, please come on down, but not at expense of your spine or your hamstring. And then come on up. Now, I'm going to show you this great hip opener, and I'm going to show you from different sides so that you can see what I'm doing. This is my right leg, this is my left leg. So I'm standing next to the chair. The chair is next to my right leg. I'm not standing really far from the chair, and I'm standing just where my legs are so that I can put my foot up on the chair. So if I'm really far away, do you see how that would be actually troublesome for my hip? I'm basically just standing so that I can put my leg on the chair. From the side, that will just look like I'm coming here into this position of the leg is up. I would like you to be not so much that you're so close. Do you see the angle of my leg? That's not going to feel like me. I'm trying to create as much as possible just this geometric shape of I'm standing above myself. The leg is bent. Now, you're going to come forward, grab the chair, and then just come inside the leg, as though you could walk down the chair. So just pull yourself down, and just pull yourself down. If you can, just reach down toward the leg and come on down. And then come on up. Stepping to the other side of the chair. You can just take your left leg now up on top of the chair. Again, please note that you're not, in this position again, but you're just right next to the leg, so you're coming down, forward, in between the legs. So now as I inhale and exhale, I'm coming down in between the legs. I'm holding onto the chair, and I can use the chair to actually pull myself down, opening the hip. Releasing the head, releasing the spine. You can just use the legs to actually pull yourself down. And then come on up. First side again. Taking your right leg onto the chair. Inhale, exhale, come on down. It might be easier the second time. Use the legs, pull yourself down. And then come on up, stepping to the other side of the chair. And again, just using the chair, legs to pull yourself down. And
we are going to practice half moon pose, Ardha Chandrasana. It's one of the best poses that men can do for anything, everything. But I find it particularly good for women. I think it's one of the poses that we have to be able to continue to practice throughout our lifetime. So I teach it using different methodologies, but I find that this particular action with the chair can be very, very helpful. So the chair, I can be clear. When I'm sitting on the chair, this is the front of the chair, this is the back of the chair, okay? It's kind of hard to tell because this is a backless chair. So right now, the chair is on my right side and it's facing me. In other words, the seat is facing backwards. The chair is on the right. I'm going to be now having my right foot about the middle of the chair, not right underneath, but about probably 2 to 3 feet away. And my right foot will be facing the chair. I'm now going to come down, take my right hand, elbow onto the chair, and my left arm on top of the chair, and lift the left leg. Now, in this position, we are able to stabilize. You're going to push down on the top to be able to rotate the chest. If you're very flexible, the tendency is to take that leg up, but that's actually very bad for the hip. Do you see there's actually a crease that can happen here? So see if you can keep the leg equidistant with the hip, so level with the hip. And now, imagine that you could, from the tailbone to the heel of the raised leg, lengthen the leg, lengthen the back body, lengthen and rotate. Imagine that you could take the spine, the tailbone, and turn it toward the heel, toward the up heel, the left leg. Your tailbone is reaching toward this leg, reaching and lengthening. And as you push on this top bar, you can rotate and turn the head. Lengthen the leg. Now imagine that someone's holding onto the foot, this left leg. Imagine I'm holding onto your foot, and now I'm going to pull that foot, pulling, lengthen your spine, lengthening, and opening. And then come on down. Other side. Taking the chair over to the left side. I'm now going to be taking my left foot facing about the middle of the chair, 2 to 3 feet away, depending on the height of my legs. And then I'm going to take my left hand down, elbow on the ground, right hand onto the top of the chair, and lifting the right leg. And again, be cautious to not overlift. It might look like something, but there's actually a grip that happens here in the hip. So see if you can actually just keep your leg at the level of the hip. Your back will be thankful for it. And now, lengthen the tailbone toward the foot. The foot also wants to turn up like so. See if you can turn the heel to be even. See how that foot wants to turn? See if you can turn the heel. And now, imagine that I'm holding onto your foot and I'm going to pull you all the way, pulling, lengthening the spine, lengthening, pushing down on the chair, pushing down onto the seat, lengthen from the tailbone to the heel. Imagine that you had a long line from your tailbone to that right heel, lengthening. I'm pulling on that right heel, and you're lengthening and rotating up into Ardha Chandrasana. And then come on down. First side again. Taking the chair back over to the right side. My right foot is going to be standing about in the middle. I'm now going to aim for the chair, bring the leg up. Now the second time, I kind of know what to do with my torso. Where can I get more space? I can watch that foot turning. So can I lengthen? She said pull from the foot. Wow, I wish somebody could pull me, because that would actually feel really great if I could have someone pull my leg and lengthen the spine. Now push into the chair and rotate the chest open. Ardha Chandrasana. Notice how much space and breath you have. Front body, side body, back body in the lungs. Breathe into that tennis court of your lungs in the back body. Stretch that leg back and over, lengthen the spine, turn and rotate up to look toward the sky. And then come on down. Second side, second time. Taking my left leg again, it's about in the middle of the chair. I'm going to aim myself down, coming down onto my arms and lifting that leg. Again, just catching myself not to go too high, but can I lengthen? Imagine someone is pulling on this foot and I'm pulling and lengthening you as though you could become taller and longer here. Using the top of the chair, using the bottom of the chair, you can push to rotate, lengthen the spine, lengthen the foot. Imagine someone is pulling you. I'm pulling the heel and lengthening, and you're able to rotate and release the breath, front body, side body, back body. Breathing into the back body of the lungs. And then come on down. Again, taking the chair, holding on to the top of the chair, just walking back into the downward facing position, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Really release your head, shake your head, releasing the neck. Imagine the tailbone's moving backwards, shoulders are moving backwards as the crown of the head reaches forward. And then holding on to the seat, slowly come on up. Now, some of you may need a blanket or something to step on, towel, something like that. It's going to depend on your Achilles and gastrocnemius, how open the calf and the Achilles are, because we're going to work on Malasana, Western least favorite pose. So the blanket is here for my heels. If you don't have a blanket, you could also just roll up your mat and use that, to stand on. But I'm having the blanket here. I could even fold it up and be using the chair. So I'm going to put my heels on this blanket. I'm going to use the chair to just be able to bend my knees down. So I'm not really sitting on it. I'm trying to use it to just keep my heels descending down. So I can push this chair forward. I can use it for balance. So I'm sitting down. Malasana, squat, is one of the best poses for this low back. But if we're dying in the Achilles tendon and the shin bone, we can't really relax in the pose to get the benefit of the back. It's all about this back body right now for me. So in this position, slide the chair forward, round your back, and see if you can round your back to bear more weight down. So that you're actually rounding the spine. Push the chair forward, round the back. Try not to just land on the blanket, but see if you can just get the benefit of the release in the low back band. And then come on up. Now, we're going to now take the knees away from each other. So before I was doing a squat like Malasana, like so, yeah? But now we will do Malasana where the knees are apart like so, because that would be more like a Baddha Konasana, and moving into arm balance is a Bakasana. Not that we're going to move into this, but we'll be taking the knees apart. So your heels are still on the chair, but this time you're going to lean forward onto the chair, take the knees apart, sit down as much as you can, holding onto the chair, and now lean forward, and see if you can put your head on the chair with your knees apart. Now, keeping your arms balanced, keeping your head on the chair if you can, sit your bum down. Again, with the knees apart, you'll see that there's actually a sensation in the low back band. In this area, you may find some relief. You can stay here, or you can walk down the
legs of the chair. And again, just use it for balance. For some of you, you may even want to take your head off the chair and come into the position of Malasana. And then come on up. Now, you've got this blanket here, maybe. You're going to sit on the blanket now. And you'll take your feet together, your knees apart, coming into Baddha Konasana. And now what I'll be doing is I'll be taking the chair and bringing it toward my shin bones. So I'm in the Baddha Konasana position. I'm going to bring the chair as close to my shins as possible and reach for the top of the chair. Now, using the chair, which is against my bones, I'm just going to lift up, not come down. I'm using this chair as though I could lift the body up. And with the sensation of up, can I increase the sensation of the hip opening? Not by force, but as though the breath could bring me forward. And again, that even in this forward fold position, there's a sensation of lift and uplifting. The lungs in Chinese medicine are the organs that hold grief. They also hold courage. But grief is sometimes a difficult emotion to work with. And so giving space to the lungs is a way that we can help process that particular emotion. Please be aware how much the back body can receive breath here in Baddha Konasana. When we just have this chair to remind us to breathe into the back, to breathe, bringing the breath into that back lung, filling that back lung with breath, prana, chi, panakabatin. You can even take your arms up, lengthening, reaching, and then releasing the chair. Now, I'm going to straighten my leg, and I'm going to be coming into the Janu Shirshasana position. But a Parivrita Janu Shirshasana, head to knee pose, but actually the twisted variation. So this is my right side, this is my left side. I'm going to bend my right leg, and usually Janu Shirshasana is taught with the leg more like a perpendicular. But what I'd like you to do is actually take that leg backwards, okay? So do you see how now I'm almost between an Upavishta Konasana position, right? And a Janu Shirshasana position. So I'm going to take my right leg, take it back, and then take the chair over on the straight leg side. So the chair is on my left side. I've taken this right knee back. The chair is over the straight leg. Now I'm going to reach my left hand underneath the chair. Take my right hand and reach over. So that I'm just resting here in this Parivrita Janu Shirshasana position. Revolved head to knee pose. And again, noticing the breath on the side body, the front body, the back body. But even that there's breath on this underside. So that even in this twisted folding pose, I still have breath in the parts that I cannot see, the parts that are hidden. I'm able to bring breath there. Again, with this armpit, chest open, you can feel how the breath can move into the side body. And then coming on out, you can just Move the chair to the other side. Again, taking the left leg now out. Right leg is straight, left leg is bent. I'm now bringing the chair over that right leg. I'm reaching under the chair. I'm using the chair seat so that I can rest my head and I could just hold on to that seat of the chair. Taking my top arm, left hand, reaching over. I can feel again, so just collapsing this arm down, but can I lift the elbow? And as I lift the elbow, there's a sense of rotation. And again, that spaciousness in this, from the armpit chest to the pelvis, creating space in this left side, creating space in the lung of that left side, opening the side body, opening the armpit chest, opening and turning the spine. So again, that I can feel supported by this chair. The support like a good friend. The support that allows me to release, relax, rejuvenate. How much can we let go when we feel supported in our life? Noticing any restrictions, just noticing how they show up. And can I just notice them without needing to fix, without changing, just noticing. And then coming on, out, and your choice now. For some of you, it may feel better to have the legs straight. It may feel better to be in Baddha Konasana. It may feel better to be in Sukhasana. It may feel better to be in Uddhista Konasana. But now we're just going to put the chair in the middle and just bring your forehead forward. So whatever position you choose, just for a moment, come forward, support the forehead. Rest the elbows. Notice again how when we rest the elbows, there's space and breath in the armpit area. So you can actually feel how that connects to the breath and the lungs and the ribs. Supported forward, you can feel the back body. Breathe into the tennis court of your lungs. Imagine there's an entire tennis court that lives back there that could receive your breath, prana, chi, tanaga bakin. Can you move that breath into the back body? Bringing courage into the body. Now, keep the chair nearby, by your legs. You're going to bend your knees now, lay down on your back. Knees bent, feet flat. And then just bring your right knee in, hug the knee. Feel how that feels. Straighten the leg up. Just notice how it feels. Release the hand. And just 3 breaths here. Inhale, exhale. Don't grab the leg, just let it come in. Inhale, release. Exhale. One more time. Inhale, exhale. Now just bring your head up. And come on down. Other side. Bring the left knee in, hug the knee. Feel how that feels in your back. Release the leg up. 3 breaths. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Now, bring your head up. And then just roll on down. Bring both knees in, hug the knees. Bring your head up. Come on down.
If that chair is near you, you can now just slide the chair nearby and just place your legs on the chair. The biggest deal is that your leg is supported all the way up to your knee, so the entire calf is supported. If your knee is hanging off in space, there's less relaxation. So please bring the chair to support the whole calf, but make sure that there's space between the pelvis, that this is actually at an angle of 45, not right on top of you, but that there's actually more of a release in the groin. Then putting your arms out, we will get ready for Shavasana. Take a long, slow, soft, deep inhalation and exhale completely. Feeling the breath moving in and down and in. Long, slow, soft, deep inhalation. Long, slow, soft, deep, quiet exhalation. Drawing the breath in and down and in toward the seat of the heart. Now, just for a moment, bring your attention to your breath. And just notice the breath. Noticing the breath tickling your nostrils. Long, slow, soft, deep inhalation. Long, slow, soft, deep, quiet exhalation. Perhaps even descend the tongue away from the palate of the mouth. You might even part your lips slightly. Noticing the breath coming in and releasing out. Long, slow, soft, deep inhalation. Long, slow, soft, deep, quiet exhalation. And as the breath descends down and in and down, you can actually feel the breath moving down the throat. As the tongue descends, you can feel the breath descending down into the throat. As though the breath itself could move into the chest cavity, expanding into the chest. As though the breath could move into the right lung, as though it could move into the left lung. As though the breath could actually move the lungs to move apart. As though they could actually become this pillow for the heart. Long, slow, soft, deep inhalation. Long, slow, soft, deep, quiet exhalation. And as the breath moves in and down and in, you can actually feel the organs of perception beginning to quiet. As though your body just begins to merge down into the earth. Long, slow, soft, deep inhalation. Long, slow, soft, deep, quiet exhalation. And as the breath moves in and down and in, you can actually feel the organs of perception beginning to move away from the periphery, away from the outer world. As though the skin itself could begin to relax. And as you sink into the earth, releasing the legs actually feel like they're hanging from the torso. Long, slow, soft, deep inhalation. Long, slow, soft, deep, quiet exhalation. And as you descend down and in and down, you can actually feel the face releasing, relaxing. As though the lips themselves could relax. Even the teeth inside the gums. Imagine that the teeth could actually release. And as the teeth release and relax, the jaw descends down and in. Long, slow, soft, deep inhalation. Long, slow, soft, deep, quiet exhalation. And as the organs of perception move in and down, the desire to speak, to talk lessens. As we move away from the periphery, away from the outer world, toward the seat of the heart. And as the jaw softens, the cheeks soften, the nose, the valley of the eyes, as though the upper lids were following the lower lids, chasing the lower lids, as though the eyes actually descend backward
as though the eyes themselves recede backward into the skull, away from the outer world, as though the eyes could actually turn toward the seat of the heart, no longer wanting to look out to see. Long, slow, soft, deep inhalation, long, slow, soft, deep, quiet exhalation. And as the quiescence deepens, you can actually feel the organs of perception beginning to quiet, until the smallest bones, the smallest muscles in the ears themselves become so quiet, so quiet, that perhaps you can hear the song of your own heart as we slip sweetly into the stillness of Shavasana. If we are peaceful, if we are happy, we can blossom like a flower. And then our friends, our family, our entire society can benefit from our peace. So before you come back, just take a moment and notice how you feel. Remember this place so you can learn to access it more frequently. And then as you're ready, and only as you are ready, inhale, exhale, descend your navel to your spine, bend your knees, place your hands somewhere that brings comfort to you. And then as you're ready, and again only as you're ready, turn toward your side, linger for a moment, keeping the sensations as long as possible. And then using your arms, keeping your eyes closed, moving slowly, bring yourself back up to a seated position, and we'll end by meeting, sitting up. So, remember, the first step is to get the alignment of your body just right. Now, from this place, the tension-free place, just take a moment and silently say to yourself for coming to practice today, thank you. Thank you for coming. Extend your goodwill to everyone and everything, everywhere. Do what you can do now to help promote peace on the planet. Drink deeply from all that life has to offer. Live thoughtfully as we walk amongst each other. And bloom wherever you are. Sabe Sate Suki Hontu. May all beings be happy. Namaste. thank you all for coming. I hope there was something of benefit.
Thank you so much, Cora, for coming.